Yep. How's it going? Yep, played golf in the rain today. It was awesome. Rain and wind. Actually started playing better when I had a horrible front nine, but then a pretty good back nine in the really windy rain. Reminded me of Abandoned Dunes. And by the way, Blue isn't looking at me at all. He's looking the exact opposite direction. Blue. Now he's looking at me. So, hello, freakazoids! How the hell's it going? Yeah. Hey, there's like a missing person case here in Portland. You guys heard of that one? The Owen Klinger case? I mean, I'm putting it all together. I don't know if I'm going to talk about it right now, or much right now, but he apparently was on campus. Hey, thanks, Kit Kat. You're always first. Well, almost always. Thank you. Yeah, I guess he was last seen around, I don't know, 7:30 on
First
campus.
Donation of the night, grinning face with smiling eyes.
Smiling face with grinning eyes. Yeah. So here's a picture of him right now. This is him leaving his dorm at like 7:30. But he told his friends that he was going to go to lacrosse practice. And then they said, well, you don't have your gear. And he goes, oh, well, it's just a meeting. But he didn't show up to that meeting. And then he was seen walking on surveillance footage. I actually have some of that right here.
Across from campus remains the very last spot he was seen. Police are now releasing this TriMet bus video. They say that's Klinger crossing North Portsmouth at Willamette, headed west, not north, as they originally had thought.
We have increased confidence that that was Owen.
Yeah, so he's walking, and I actually have the campus on here. It's right here. And so he was right here at this intersection is where you're seeing him. And he walks this way across the intersection. I don't know what time that's at, but his dorm is right here. Right here, I mean. And then there's only one ATM that I could find on the campus right there. And he's heading this direction. And it's been 12 days now that he's been missing. And it turns out that he had been looking up, how to hop trains. And also, I can't remember the name of that show again, by the way. It's like Into the Wild or something. Like he just wanted to take off. So I think it's more likely that he just left. But what was weird is he only took $150 out of his bank account. And he had a lot more money in the bank account than that. Like a ton more. So it's strange that he'd only take $150 out if he was literally going to be, on some kind of weird walkabout. But if you look at it, he's heading this direction, and then just right there are train tracks right here. See? So who knows? Was he going to go walk over there? Did he hop on a train and he's on some long journey right now? Don't know. But anyways, it's been a story in the news here. I haven't been following it that much, but I do live here, so I guess I could actually drive down to the, kind of see what's going on. It's pretty crazy, though. Pretty crazy. And the parents mentioned something about how maybe there was problems that he was aware of or something. I don't know. To me, it just feels like he left intentionally. But they all say, the parents, which you got to listen to, they said it's totally out of character for him not to keep in touch or at least say something. So because they're saying that, I think it's a lot more interesting because it sounds like something he wouldn't be doing. Anyways, that's all for that. But anyways, call in, and tonight's the night where you guys call in and tell your stories. Okay? And I don't want to hear about a guy that's grilling at a barbecue. All right? I don't want to hear that that's somebody that you're interested in. I mean, I'm absolutely dumbfounded that there's a YouTuber that's talking about a person who's grilling. Here's a reality. If by some miracle the guy who's grilling hamburgers happens to be the Delphi killer, it had nothing to do with sleuthing. It had to do with you seeing a picture and going, "Hey, that's the guy! Look at everybody! Look at!" Okay, and then it just happened to be that because there was nothing about the guy when you put his face out there. I actually want to contact him and let him know what's going on because I think it's absolutely slanderous. I did the same thing with the guy that I think the drone. There was a guy that flew a drone on February 12th. 2017 at the bridge, and he was just flying around, and then he posted it on YouTube, and then there was these people, oh my god, maybe he's the killer. And so I know that's why this whole drone angle's coming back again. All right, it's just, so I actually contacted the guy and let him know. Yeah, it's pure insanity, everybody. So, and both of those guys can't be the killer, right? So I'm all about when people are being slandered with no evidence at all, I'm going to tell them, even if it turns out that they're the killer. I really, to me, it's stupid. Okay? Because you don't have any information other than what you think they look like. Look, here's the deal.
A small donation
Thank
from
you.
Donna and me.
Thank you, Pool of Zenda. Here's the reality of it. All law enforcement wants is somebody who's looking at the video and hears the audio and says, hey, I think I know who that is. Not us looking at every freaking picture on Facebook and social media and saying, look, that guy looks like it could be him. And then sending that in. They don't want to hear from that. Because then it's like, well, what reason? Well, I mean, do you see the goatee and the jacket he's got on? Well, thank you for that incredible insight there. What other information? Well, I don't know. He just looks sort of like him. Yeah, as well as 90,000 people in that area. It's just ridiculous. Wow, you knew somebody that said that. Wow. Well, where are the people that were going to call in and tell their stories tonight? Thanks, Robin Frost. Look at that. BG has a drone. Yeah. Thanks, Mimi.
BG has a drone.
Yeah. And that same YouTuber, you know what they said was, I see these images of Eldridge, all the different people that have been, Eder, all these different people that have been compared to the bridge guy. And he says, but it's purely because of what he looks like. I don't do that, he said. Really? That's your whole thing that you started with the grill guy. You said he was a doppelganger and he looked just like him. So therefore it is him.
Thanks,
and all these
Ray,
private detectives, these retired detectives.
Light skin tone, clapping
Thank
hands,
you.
light skin tone, clapping hands, light skin tone.
Yes, and a bunch of retired detectives told me, wow, that really, you know what? They should be taken back, pay back for if they ever said anything like that. Okay? It's just, oh God, it's mind-boggling. Take back their retirement. I don't even believe that part of the story. It's a little bit like the priest angle. You remember that? Oh, the priest has so much credibility because, and he says he sees a van under the bridge. Therefore, the priest is so much, because he's a priest, we just all got to believe it, that it's a van. Set aside the fact that all we're seeing is a profile of the van when what you call a van, a cartoon van, where you don't even see the top of it at an angle where you'd see at least part of the roof. It's weird. Weird stuff there. Yeah. I hope nobody in here watching right now is buying into the grill guy stuff. Okay? Now, if it randomly turns out, wow, a miraculous thing, it has nothing to do with sleuthing. It has to do with just somebody looking at somebody and being right that one time in a billion. Okay? But I think it's scary. All the people that are just so excited about it. Oh, great job, man. Oh, wow. I think you're really onto something. And apparently the guy has an attorney now. And I know why he has an attorney. Not it's to sue. Okay? That's if he has an attorney, it's to sue somebody. Yeah. Well, it would just be pure luck. It has nothing to do with true crime, anything. It has nothing to do with investigation. It has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with just sort of looking around at images and saying, wow, this guy looks like one. Let me build a whole narrative around somebody that I have no clue has anything to do with anything. And I'll make a whole video, show his face and everything. Well, of course, I'm being really responsible when I do that. So is there anybody that had a true crime story tonight? Remember last night how everybody was going to call in? It's okay if there isn't one. I can be a short night. I got stuff to do. Yeah, it's on YouTube. You wouldn't believe it. You might actually buy into it though. That's the problem, because he sells it. You know, it's scary actually, because people are like, oh wow, really hypocritical guy. Every sentence he says has some hypocrisy in it based on other things. You have a grill? And apparently now the bridge guy might even have a visor under the hoodie. See, isn't that crazy? See, I think the reason, I don't think it has anything to do with me. I wear a visor. But I bet you there's an image of the guy he thinks is the bridge guy. And there's an image of him with a visor on. So now he's saying, do you think there could be a visor under the hoodie? Well, of course it could be. Right? It could be a visor.
Uh-oh.
Because
have a grill.
there's a hoodie
Even
on
a
it. You can't see
zany
it.
Face.
Thanks, Karen K. Yeah. It could be a visor. And it could also be he could have a yarmulke on and a visor. You know, he could actually have a polka dot underwear on underneath those pants, as I say often. We just don't know. But it's very possible. So, if you go look and you see a picture of him, your suspect, where he might have posted on Reddit or something, a picture of himself in front of a mirror with polka dot underwear on, you can say, hey, I was able to use some weird filter on the bridge guy image, and then through the pants I see polka dot underwear. It's really fascinating. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a long time, and there it is. You'll call in 3 minutes? Yeah, that's right. Wicked. What happened to the rest of your name? Didn't you used to have gaming on there? Yep. No, seriously, when I look at the bridge guy image, I think he might actually have a jock strap on with polka dot underwear on the outside of that. Then he's got jeans on. And then I think in his pockets, he's got 3 nickels and a quarter. I can definitely see a dime, too. It's in the other pants. And then his right hand. No, anyway, hey, I got a call. Look at this. All right. 815, you're on the air.
Hi, Gray. It's Kim Berger.
Hey, it's Kim Berger.
So I don't know how interesting this story is going to be, but
okay.
I figured since no one else is calling.
Where is it? Where is it?
It happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Wow, how do you spell that? Man, that's...
Kenosha.
Oh, that was way off in my head. All right, I'm just getting... I'm there. Yeah, I'm here. I got it. Kenosha. All right.
At Carthage College, to be specifically.
What's the name of that again?
Carthage College.
Jesus. How many do you have? Okay, go ahead.
Carthage.
Oh, I almost had that. So right, basically right on the water there.
Yep.
Cool. That must have been kind of a cool, neat little place to go to school.
It was. Well, it was until this happened, and then I was scared.
Okay.
So I was working as one of those knowing people who calls seniors to try to get people to go to that school.
Oh, yeah?
And I was leaving, and as I was leaving, I saw a guy that was walking towards me, and he was walking really, really fast. So I kind of looked at him. I'm like, this guy doesn't look right, because he was coming at me. So I took out my pepper spray, and then last minute he kind of swerved around me. So I was like, that's weird.
Did he see your pepper spray when you held it?
I didn't spray him, no. But
did he see it? Oh, you saw it. Okay. All right.
So as soon as I rounded a corner, I started running back to my dorm. And the next day, we found out that there was a sexual assault on campus. And it turns out this guy was a serial rapist.
Was that the guy, though, that walked by you?
Yeah. Yeah, I had to go down to the police station. I had to meet with the FBI and do a sketch, the whole bit.
Oh, jeez. So did they catch him?
Yep. They finally, but not until I think he attacked maybe 5 different colleges.
What was his name?
He was a comedian.
Oh, really? What's his name? What was his name? Or is his name?
If you Google Carthage College serial rapist, it'll come up. But that was scary, because the police actually said he turned around. They think that he meant follow me, but I had gone into a dorm, and across from my dorm is a music hall, and that's where he ended up going in and attacking one of the girls.
I can't go to every website that I try. Let's see. Football player was accused. So was he? Let's see. Was he a black guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so his name is Lawrence Gaines, and he was a comedian.
No.
Oh, that's not him?
That's not it. I'd recognize it if I heard it.
Well, it said a Carthage College football player who was accused. Oh, that's a different one. Wow, you got a lot of stuff going on.
This is a long time ago. This happened like 1996, 97.
Yeah, I actually see it in the, but I have to be a subscriber to see it. That's the bad part about it. So serial rapist sought in Carthage, 1997, a serial rapist who attacks college women.
Here, I found his name.
Okay.
Vinson, Vinson, Horace Champ.
Okay, Horace Champ. Vincent, like S-O-N or V-I-N-S-O-N? Okay, I found it.
Yep.
He's in Wikipedia. A former American comedian and convicted rapist. He was the winner of Star Search in 1992. Huh, that's kind of weird. But
he's weird, like, not that rapists are ever not weird, But this guy, the way his MO, he'd approach someone from behind, put a bag on their face, and then he'd ask them all about their sexual history, and then he'd do the act, and then when he left, he said to whoever the girl was, pray for me.
Wow. Huh.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, so he would put a bag on his face, like right before you could see him, or while he's doing...
No, the over...
Oh, the
victim's face.
Oh, I see. Huh.
But it was weird, and it turns out the girl that this happened to was like on the floor almost right above my dorm. And she, unfortunately, she was playing piano, and the rooms at that time, she was facing not towards the door. So when the guy came in, he flipped the lights off, shut the door, locked it, and she was done.
Yeah, it says he opened for Diana Ross, Sinbad, Arsenio Hall. Champ also appeared on the syndicated television talent show Star Search, which was hosted by Ed McMahon. Huh. That's weird.
Yeah, what a creep, though.
Yeah, so he was walking... Yeah, I mean, so you're just... well, describe your story again, just because now it's more like... I want more detail on it.
Well, I was walking to my dorm from one of the buildings where the telemarketers were. It was probably, I don't know, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And as I was walking, this guy was walking.
Do you know where it is, like if you're looking at the campus? Because I've got it on the screen, you know.
I can't remember. It's the main hall. I was at Tarbell, so it was I can't remember the name of the building. They might have even changed the name of the building.
Well, I have it visual. You can see it visually on the video right now, but I don't know. Go ahead. So, anyways, you were in there.
I was walking towards my dorm. He was walking away from my dorm, coming at me, and he was, normally someone walks alongside you when there's a sidewalk.
Yeah.
You don't walk at someone, directly at someone.
Oh, weird.
He wasn't doing that.
Oh, so I mean, like you both kept walking, you would just ran into each other.
Right.
Oh.
Right, and he had this because I looked back after I passed him, so I was so kind of freaked out. And so as soon as I rounded, there's a little curve. As soon as he couldn't see me, I booked it back to my dorm. And then the next day they were asking for witnesses, and I'm like, I told my roommate, I'm like, I doubt that this is anything, but I'm going to call just in case. And then the detectives interviewed me, and I don't know how many times they'd show me different pictures of people, and then, like I said, I had to meet with the FBI and do a sketch.
So you were before they had even caught the guy.
Right.
So they were just...
It's probably his...
Huh. So did he just get done raping somebody at your dorm? Because he was coming from it.
No, the police said,
okay.
Because it happened after 9 o'clock, so they said that most likely I was the intended victim, and that's why when he saw me, he turned around because, like I said, his MO is to catch people from behind.
Oh.
And so the police said, they think I was probably the intended victim, and that's why he turned around and walked the other way.
But he was walking right towards you, so how would he have ever got behind you?
Because he turned around shortly after that curve, I guess. He turned around to go the same direction as me.
Oh, so you passed him?
Yes.
Right. Oh, okay. Wow, you passed. Oh, that's crazy. So you passed him,
yeah.
But he was walking right at you to kind of see you. Then you passed him, and then after you passed him, he turns around and then he started following you?
Well, yeah, I didn't know that at the time. That's what the police detectives thought happened as to why he ended up in the building right across from my dorm.
Wow. And what time were you walking around? What time was that?
I was coming home probably between 8:30 and 9, and I think the police said that the incident happened between 9:30 and 10.
So I wonder why he didn't keep following you, though.
I think, I think because the police said, because I kind of stared him down. He was scary. And the police said, you know, he probably doesn't want someone that's alert and that could identify him.
Jeez. I think you got pretty lucky there, sounds like.
Yeah, I feel bad for the victim. I wish I would have, if I would have called, like, you know, 911 at the time, you know, maybe that would.
Yeah, but that'd be weird. See, that's a weird reason to call 911.
Right.
I mean, it was like later. It seemed it then made you call because it was suspicious to you, but in reality, that'd be a weird thing to call nine. What happened? What happened? Well, this guy was walking right towards me. He didn't switch over to the other side. Okay. Well, did he say anything? No, he just kept on going. Right. So, I mean, I'm not trying to. I am trying to. This just kind of how my humor is, right? But like you just realize that is kind of crazy to call about. But once you heard that there was a rape, then it immediately clicked, and then it made sense. So I wouldn't. I mean, and you know, don't feel bad for anything.
I called security, and security said call the police, but you know, from what we can tell, that's, you know, not the same description. When I called the police, they said, yeah, that's absolutely the description. So, I mean, my schoolwork was like disrupted for, God, like a month. They kept coming back with various pictures and saying, you know, does this guy look familiar? But they didn't ever show me a picture of the guy that was responsible.
They probably had no clue at the time.
Right.
How did they actually catch him? Okay, go ahead. What were you going to say about weird?
He targeted all these really small Midwest colleges, which I thought was kind of weird. But I guess that's like the circuit that he was working. That was kind of dumb on his part.
Yeah. I wonder, how did they actually catch him now?
I think, I don't remember where, but at one of the colleges, he was about to rape somebody and someone spooked him and called the police. And I don't know if it was at that point they caught him or if they, you know, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, what was his name again? Can you say? I'm going to make a folder. I just want to look into him later.
Vincent, Vinson. Yeah. I forgot his last name. Champ.
Vincent something Champ. What was that middle?
There's an H. Let's see. Horace.
Horace, like Horace, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird. So he's just like a serial rapist, like the guy up in Unbelievable, the Netflix series, basically.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's a series, but it's based on, it's almost actual. I mean, they just changed a few things here and there, but it's a real story. It's on Netflix. And one of the girls from Walking Dead is one of the detectives. She was one of the, I don't know if you ever watched Walking Dead, but she got shot in the eye with an arrow in one of the seasons.
Huh.
Not that means anything whatsoever. It's just, yeah. So, God, I think that was a good story. That's a crazy one. I don't know why you started off with.
Honestly, I was scared. The rest of the time I stayed there. I actually, right after that happened, I quit my job. I was scared because, you know,
before he was arrested.
Normally did walk along.
How long did it take before he was arrested after that?
I really am not sure. But what's crazy is I looked at, you know, when he was arrested and stuff, because I almost had to go testify at one of the trials, I guess. But I don't remember why I didn't end up having to do that. But when I looked at, you know, my sketch versus him, I was proud of myself. I did a pretty good job.
No, I think it's amazing that you called in. You know, because it sort of sparked your mind to think that was meaningful, and then it turned out it was, and then it led to. I mean, I don't know. At least I think they had a picture of maybe what the guy might look like. Did the sketch look pretty close to?
Oh yeah. I was actually pretty surprised. They did a good job.
Yeah. Do you have one? I mean, do you have the sketch yourself?
Not probably anymore, because this is like going back to 96 or 97, so God only knows where it is now.
I actually missed your answer to the. I was reading something in the comments about how long after that did they do the arrest?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember? Okay.
No, because he went on and I think had 3 more assaults before he was caught.
Well, you probably helped make that a smaller number.
Well, if nothing else, the victim, because she, obviously went to the counselor, and I went to the counselor too, because I was pretty shook up. And the girl wanted to meet me and thank me, and that was super emotional. Because she didn't get a good look at him, and it really made me feel good.
So did she ever remember? Do the other victims remember walking by him in a similar way, or was he more stealthy, where he hid and then just came from behind and put the bag on their head?
I don't know. I really only know about the other incidents just like after the fact. I didn't really know about this until after he was arrested, about what else he did.
So how did he pull it off? Was it in their rooms, or?
You mean the one at Carthage? It was in a small, kind of like, there's like a piano in there. Mm-hmm. But like I said, she was facing the wall, so she couldn't see anyone that was coming towards the, into the door. She couldn't see them. And what he did, I didn't even know that they had locks on it, but it must have. And he came in, turned off the lights, and put this bag over her head. But, like I said, it was really weird, because I guess he asked a whole bunch of questions about her sexual history before he did anything.
I gotta look into that. That seems really bizarre.
It is weird.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that was a good story. Hey, what was your name again? I'm gonna put it on the.
Kim.
That's right, Kim Berger. That's right.
Yep.
Seems like I've seen you for a long time. Have you been?
Yeah.
Around?
For pretty long.
Or at least, let's see, Kim Berger. All right. I got it. I'm putting it on the folder name, so at least I remember. Yeah. Wow. Well, that was a good story. Thanks for calling in. It's a good one.
Yeah, no problem. It's good talking to you.
Yes. Yeah, you too. Sorry I had to go through that. It sucks.
No, that's okay. Thanks.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was a good, interesting story there. I'm always have a hard time figuring out how to end a call, because it's always like it's such a horrible experience. Like, what do you say? Hey, good stuff, or I don't know. I guess I need to learn some kind of a line. But anyways, the lines are open, and the 2 people that were gonna call in today haven't called in. Let's see. Maybe I can message one of them. Yeah, remember it was Mary Poppins, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I just messaged Mary Poppin, who had some sort of a Delphi related one. And it looks like she's messaging me back, but yeah, and the other one is it was Rachel, remember? Rachel Coronado. Coronado, where are you? Yeah, where are you? Where are you? Oh, there you are, right there. Yeah. So call in. Oh, I guess in there it's Rachel J. Sorry if I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, I started early, but it's 9:10 also, Rachel. I mean, what did you think? A little early. Anyhow, all right, yes, the lines are open right now. Now Mary's saying, what's the number? Where do I call? You know, it's just like every other show, okay? You were on last night. You saw how it worked. The number is up on the top of the screen. You pick if you're on the West Coast or East Coast. I don't know what happens if you live in Nebraska, okay? Pick one of them. It sounds like a way trying to spin out of it. Yeah, I'm just communicating here, trying to figure out. But anybody can call in with their story. Just kind of give me the location, and we can just kind of look at it as people are telling your story. You can even be more specific. But we don't need to have like an outline or anything like that. I mean, I will give Rachel credit, because when she called in, not called in, when she sent me an email, it was like literally a document. It's pretty good. Anyways, let me, I got a call here at 9931. You're on the air.
Hi, Greg.
Hello, who's this?
It's Jessica.
Oh, it's Jessica. Okay. What's going on?
I'm calling. It didn't happen to me. It happened to a lady that I worked with. And it's a small town where I live, which is Oneida, Tennessee.
Oneida?
The area that it happened.
How do you spell that?
Oneida.
I think I got it.
E-I-D-A.
I knew how to spell it from the Casey Anthony trial.
There you go.
Oneida.
But it happened in 2003. And her husband, it's kind of a big story around here because it's a small town and stuff like this doesn't happen. But her husband was a cop for the local department, Scott County Department, and his name is John Yancey. And he was working with his partner doing like a drug bust or like a meth lab raid. And they went into this trailer, which was on Williams Creek Road in Oneida. Okay. And they were supposed to bust the, meth lab or whatever. And his partner, which they were best friends, they were partners for a long time, and their families hung out together and stuff. And they go into the trailer, and I think the electricity was off. I don't know if it was on, if they ever had any, but they were going in on each side of the trailer, and there were two other cops with them, and one of the cops went in through the back way and one went in through the front way. And Marty Carson is the other cop that went in there, and he said he saw a silhouette in the trailer of a man with a shotgun. So he ran into the bathroom to get away from him, and he saw the guy coming towards him or whatever, so he just shot him. Mm-hmm. And he shot John Yancey, his partner. Oh, jeez. And so it was supposed to be an accident, an accidental shooting. And come to find out, it wasn't an accident. The guy that shot him, his name was Marty Carson. His dad was a sheriff. He was the sheriff for the county for years, like I think over 20 years. So they kind of like, ran everything.
What was the shooter's name? The shooter's name? The other cop?
Marty.
Yeah. He's a cop though, right? Like he was.
Yes.
Marty what? Yep. Marty what?
And so
Marty
Carson.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Right, and the sheriff, which is his father, his name was Jim Carson. So it went from him saying that he accidentally shot him, he didn't know it was him, he thought it was the other guy coming at him, and he was real scared. He said he was just terrified. And then what everybody ended up finding out was that it wasn't an accident. His father, being the sheriff, no one really ran against him or anything. And he found out that John was going to be running for sheriff, against his dad. And so he basically,
wow.
It was a setup. And
so his partner is John, and he was going to run against sheriff against his Marty's dad, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And then he killed John so that his dad would have no competitor again. Right?
Exactly.
God, that's ludicrous. What a stupid.
Yeah. And it's for it being such a small place, the story was in the GQ something anniversary edition. They did the story.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm actually looking at it right now. That's exactly what I have on my screen. Look, I've got the GQ.com. I don't know how they got. Oh yeah, so it's just GQ.com, and there's a whole story in here, and it talks about it describes the incident, what he claims to have happened. It's pretty long, actually.
Yeah, it's insane. He went into a lot of detail about how scared and nervous he was, and then when everything came out in the open, it was a lot of dirty cops, and they were all from either the Carson family or hired by them to do dirty work, basically. They would set people up for drugs and everything.
It sounds a lot like that movie. There was a movie. What the hell was that? I can't remember what the guy's name. You know the guy that was in Gladiator, right? The main Gladiator guy, whatever. He's pretty famous. Yeah, he was in a movie. It seemed like where he was a cop, and then there was something similar, I thought, in that movie, where there was a setup, and the other cop killed another.
It does sound familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just it's such a small county, and for something like that to happen, it was awful. So it happened to I worked with his wife, John Yancey's wife. Her name's Lori Yancey. I worked with her at the Scott County Hospital in the emergency room whenever everything went down. So it was awful, so horrible, because I think there for a while people were thinking that he was going to get away with it, that it would only be, they would only be able to say that it was an accident. But I think the TBI came in and researched and found out a lot of stuff, and I think they said that it was going to be it wasn't going to be accidental anymore. I don't know if it was negligent homicide. I don't know.
I wonder how they proved that.
What the truth was.
They must have had some other information. I mean, it seems. I mean, do you know what other? Well, I could probably just read this article at some point, and it'll go through that.
Yes, that article is they did an amazing job.
Oh yeah, it's really long.
Everything you can ever. I think there's even a picture of the trailer that it happened in on that article.
Well, I don't see that in here, but It's really long. I don't know if they got rid of the images or what, but it's really long. It's like, you know, you have to scroll down for 2-3 minutes just to get to the bottom of it. but I just don't see any pictures or anything like that. Unless, let's see, what's this over here? No, that's not.
I thought it had it, but it might not. But I think that's the only picture there was just of the trailer. But if you go to Google, and all you have to do is type in John Yancey, and you see like him, and then you see Marty and all of that. But I think the two other guys, so the two other cops that were there, that weren't inside, I think one of the cops actually is the sheriff now, which is kind of weird, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of a touchy, you know, it's around here, you don't really talk about it. It's kind of like hushed, like, you know, just because it's still, I don't know. Some people think that they're still, like, you know, in the county, like, dealing and doing, like, dirty cop stuff still.
What was the thing the name that you said I could type in and it would pop up with something?
Oh, John Yancey.
John Nancy?
Yancey, like Y.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yancy or?
Yes. Mhm.
Now there's an EY at the end. Let's see.
It might be EY. Yeah.
I think I've seen the guy. He has like a baseball hat on, or no, I don't know if that's it.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Hubert.
Yeah.
Is there like a Hubert?
Yep.
Dean?
Yeah. It's Hubert.
Okay.
That's him.
I've seen his face before.
What?
I've seen his face before. I don't know why, but
I don't know if I don't think they ever did anything on ID about it, which is kind of surprising because that would be a story that they would love. But it's not very well known. You know, I think it is probably just because the town is so small and they keep their secrets hidden quite well.
All right.
So I just wanted to call in and tell you the true crime story.
Well, that was a good one. Thank you. I've got it. I put it in the folder. All right.
All right.
Well, thanks for calling
All right,
in.
thanks.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks. Bye. And what was her name again? Who just called? So it's John. Oh man, what was it? Oh, crap. Yancey. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You haven't been in YouTube jail much lately. Congratulations. Put this towards your ramen. It's only a matter of time before you're behind bars again. L101.
I wouldn't doubt it if I make it in there tonight. Wouldn't doubt it. Gray, you're so mean. So was that Jessica that just called in? Okay, let me put that on there. Okay, well, where are the rest of you that were going to call in tonight? You were so sure that you were at least two of you. Rachel, where are you? Yep, this is a show for you guys to get that off your chest after all those years. You've had these stories that you've wanted to tell. Hey, it's Sooner History. I don't think you seem nervous at all, Jessica. You told your story well. Hey, Mimi, you're about a mile behind. You got to refresh your video. Seriously, you got to refresh. You're literally 2 minutes behind at this point. Yeah, it's not scary at all. Wow. Right. But hey, Rachel, how come the phone's not ringing with you keep chatting away, but you're supposed to be calling in telling your story? You sent me a whole diagram. So I'm expecting you to call in to tell everyone else the story, and we can go check it out. Oh, there goes my stomach. Rachel Corn. Oh wait, that was... That's a different one. Ah, boy. There's nothing to be nervous about. Just call in, tell the story, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you what she sent, okay? I'll remove her name from the, I don't know if you want, well, look at that. That's like the longest email I've ever got. And yeah, I mean, she can just tell us the story, and then I'll put in the, we can play video and so forth. Because I guess she's in the actual reporting videos walking around, which was, that was cool. But other than that, it's, she can tell us what the story's about. Yeah, somebody messaged me today and said, "Great." Yeah, it was one of the comments from yesterday's video, and they said, "Great, do you ever read the comments that people are making while you're talking? Do you ever listen to what you say and then what the people are saying in the comments? You really should." And I said, "No, I'm not interested." But you guys know that I read your comments a lot of the time, but I see like 20% of them. You know why? Because I'm doing a show, idiot. Okay, I'm doing a show. Okay, so I'm not sitting there like other YouTubers just reading the comments the whole time, because I wouldn't be able to get out any information. Okay, so I'm not reading the comments all the time, and it's great that somebody might have a comment that's interesting. Okay, well, the people chatting can all be interested in that. I'm actually just saying what I think and what I know, and I think. Look it. I've said this before. Like Bill's theory last night about the guy coming from the other side of the bridge. Yes, it's possible, everybody. I've said that. I just think it's very unlikely. However, it's possible. Okay, I think it's like, okay, if you're going to go, I'd say 1 out of 100. Okay, so for me, I'm not going to spend time thinking about that, because who cares anyways? What difference does it make? See, here's the thing. Here's the reality, everybody. Early on, it was important, to get the flow of the crime, to figure out sort of what happened, that kind of thing. Now, all that matters is catching the guy. The guy being on the other side of the bridge, and then he passes him, let's say, then turns around. If that did happen, so what? It doesn't help anything. Okay? There's no new... It's not going to help determine who the guy is. That might be what you think the theory is. That's great and everything. But it's not going to help anything. Because they're still looking for the same guy that's on that video. Yeah. See, what it really was is that idiot that made the comment on my video. That person probably thought they were saying some really neat and interesting things that I just didn't give enough attention to. But in reality, I just didn't see what you said. And based on your reaction, I probably wouldn't have wanted to. Okay? Yeah, so right now, to be honest with you, my whole flow theory and everything, it's sort of meaningless. At first it was meaningful. It showed how the crime went down, that kind of thing. But at this point, now that they've released the video and audio, if you notice, in the video that I made yesterday, the one that's the 10-minute long public service video, I don't talk about the flow of the crime. Because really what it comes down to is this is what the guy looks like. This is what the guy sounds like. This is the profile. This is where they're looking for a car that was parked here. And that's it. All right. Hey, you got a call coming in here. 936, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Rachel.
Oh, my God, it's Rachel, everybody.
Yes, I know. I stepped away from my computer. I thought it might make it easier.
All right, so you can just let me get over. I have it on my map. This apartment complex that this took place in. All right, so there we go. I got it on there. So now you can just tell the story of what happened. That's it.
I'm about to say, because I don't have my computer near me at all.
Well, you can just do it by memory.
Oh yeah, I can. So let's see. This took place Friday, July 29th, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. It took place at the Dominion Apartments in Conroe.
Yep. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool apartments. Looks like.
Oh yeah, they really are. They've got a garage attached to them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like you got that big pool in the middle, like a community area. What's that part where the little red spoke thing? What's that? Like when you drive in.
Red spoke thing?
Well, it looks like when you drive in, there's like this red spoke, like design on the ground. I don't know if you've ever seen it from above, but
I actually walked back in just to see it. Oh, that's just the design of the. That's like just you drive in. It's just cement.
Yeah, it's weird though. It's like what it's not even symmetrical. It's kind of off at an angle.
Oh yeah, it is. I guess I've never seen it from this high up.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're in this apartment. How about this? Since you're looking at it, how far back? Where in this apartment complex did this take place? Like, let me just stop it right there.
Do you see where the dumpsters are? They're all the way towards the back. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Right back here. Yep.
Go forward. Yeah, right in that area. It would be not that building. That was the building I went to originally, but it'll be the building you have your mouse over right now.
This one right here.
Go to your...
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, the building I originally walked to was the one that you had your mouse on before that.
Okay. I don't think there's street view in here. They didn't go in there, but I think you can actually with the 3D model, you can actually go in and look around. Like it looks pretty bad though. All right, so tell us the story. Tell us the story. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it doesn't look that great. But
yeah, I'm about to say, I don't remember it looking like that. Anyways, though, I was watching, I'd lived here for a while, and I know all my neighbors, and I also knew the people that worked here. One of the maintenance men had 2 kids, and he got them for the summertime for his visitation, but he still had to go to work Monday through Friday, of course. And I'd already watched his kids before, so instead of having them all cooped up in his apartment all day, I was like, hey, I'll watch your kids. I'll take them to the pool so they don't have to, be locked up inside all day, because they have to have parent supervision in order to go to the pool here. And as somebody who works for this apartment complex, it might look kind of bad on you if you were to break that rule.
Yeah.
So I was watching them. It was a Friday, and I was looking at the clock. It's already 5:30. I'm like, where the heck is he? He should have been here by now. I tried to get a hold of him by phone, and he's not answering me at all. And on Fridays, he's usually getting off before 5, so I thought it was kind of odd.
Wait,
so,
who is this again?
My husband,
your landlord, or who is?
No, it was a friend of mine that worked on the maintenance team.
Oh, okay, a friend that worked on the maintenance team. Okay.
Yeah, because he lived in the complex himself.
All right.
So anyways, when my husband got home a little bit, I think it was a little bit after 6 o'clock that day, I was just like, hey, babe, can you watch the boys and, keep them here and stuff like that while I go and find where their father is? So I walk over to his building, which is right across from where this event took place. And I noticed that he's just standing around with a few of our neighbors and 2 women I don't recognize. And I'm kind of like, what the heck, dude? You could have just, if you wanted adult time to yourself, you could have just told me. I could have watched them for an extra hour. Not a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get up there to everybody gathered around, just looking like they're talking, and say my highs, kind of side-eye my friend, and then I introduce myself to the 2 women I don't recognize. One of the women, though, one of them is named Jamie. She's just a friend of the mother that's going to be, I guess, the person of interest in this case, kind of. And then I got introduced to Amanda, and I kind of recognized her a little bit as I got a better look at her, because she actually had lived in our complex. She was quick to introduce herself and telling me the situation. The situation that was going on was the Conroe PD and a social worker had come up to serve her husband paperwork that day. And it was paperwork, not only she was filing paperwork for divorce, also for, what is it, not a protective order, but also to get, she had been granted custody of their daughter, their 3-year-old daughter. And he knew that this was coming, so when they rang the doorbell, he barricaded himself inside and refused to answer the door. And shortly after that, he started texting the mother that he was going to hurt the child. And they knew that he had guns inside of his home. So not too long after I show up, it's SWAT has arrived. I can't leave the scene. Nobody can. And it becomes a standoff situation.
So when you're walking around on video, is that while that's going on, the standoff, or like after everything?
That's afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a standoff going on. He's inside. He's got a 3-year-old kid in the apartment. His own kid, yes. But his wife, his ex-wife, I guess. Or I don't know if they're ex-wife or whatever, but they not
at that point.
She filed for divorce and got a protective order and was given custody of the child.
Yes, and actually I forgot to mention, 10 days prior to that day, the police had actually been out there for a domestic, so I understand why she got the protective and probably why she got granted custody.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, he's in the apartment. He has a 3-year-old in there. Wait, you just said why? What was the reason why?
I'm assuming that she got the protective order and probably custody of their daughter because 10 days prior to that day, so that would have been July 19th, 2016, the police had to be called out there for a domestic.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like...
And I didn't ask the details of that.
Okay. So he
So, yeah.
barricades himself in the apartment with a 3-year-old, his 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, yeah, it did become a standoff situation. Everything that was filmed in that video was afterwards. But they say it's, I don't know how long, because time just seemed to kind of feel longer than usual. They say all of the entire standoff situation was only 20 minutes. I honest to God don't remember it. It felt like an hour long. For the most part, what we did while we were waiting, because they wouldn't allow anybody to come by. They had, blocked off everything, so nobody could enter and nobody could leave. And we were just trying to pass the time, keeping her calm, keeping the mother calm, doing the best we can doing that. And next thing we know, we did hear, they say, I think in the interview with that deputy, they say that no shots were heard. I can't remember, but I specifically remember we had 2 shots. We heard 2 shots at least. And that freaked the mother out pretty bad, and I could just see she was freaking out. So I grabbed her, to give her a hug, and she gave me a hug back, and she didn't want to let go, so I just kept comforting her the whole time. Just telling her to keep hope, and, she was blaming herself already. She's like, I know it, my daughter's dead, it's my fault, it's all my fault. And I even prayed with the woman. And I think the worst part was, as I was, hugging her, I'm actually facing towards where the scene is, and she's faced away.
Yeah.
And I see a cop, a lady cop, starting to walk away from the scene. She was a part of Conroe PD, and she made it look like she was trying to wipe sweat off her brow, but that isn't what she was doing. She was wiping tears away from her eyes. So already I had an idea of crap. This is not good. And then eventually, I think it was 2 officers and I believe a paramedic walked up, and I kind of turned her around. I'm like, Amanda, they're coming up over here real quick. And they tell her that her husband, or he had come outside with the gun. He kind of contemplated where to shoot for a few minutes. He put the gun towards his head, then down towards his chest, went back up to the head. He ended up shooting himself in the head, and of course, he's dead on the scene. But he go
ahead. Well, just get to the did he end up killing the 3-year-old?
Oh yeah, that's when once he was, they knew he was no longer an issue. They went inside and discovered that she'd been shot in the head in the closet.
How did he get to the situation where he just broke into the house, and how did that?
No, that he had been living. They both lived there together, and she had left. And I don't know how.
What? Wow.
But see, that's my issue. Yeah, they both lived there together. And
so
assuming she left.
So she was filing for divorce. She got a protective order, and then she left the house, leaving his daughter and custody, and then leaves his daughter with the guy that she knows is now going to be. That's stupid.
I didn't quite understand either. I don't know how he still had. I don't know if she wasn't able to take her daughter with her, because she was a full-time teacher.
Jeez.
So I don't know how that ended up, and I'm also curious, why is it that if the police knew if the girl was there, why would they bring the custody order? And I don't know. On all sides, it sounds.
I mean, how do you? But here's the thing: is the wife goes and gets a protective order, she gets custody, she's filing for divorce, but thinks, well, I'm going to leave my kid with that same guy while I go do something.
I don't know if she was unable to take her, or if I don't know.
Well, the thing is when someone says, "What do you mean unable to?" What do you mean? Because she works somewhere, or what?
If because of work and her parents don't live here.
No, but that's where that's the thing, is it doesn't matter at that point. If you get fired from your job or anything like that, all that really matters is I'm not. Obviously the killer's the killer, but I'm just saying I think that's really ludicrous. That if you're in a situation like that, you just don't go to work, and you let your work fire you for trying to protect your child, and see how well that does for them. Okay.
If if I had been in that situation, I would have taken my child with me. And as someone who's been in an abusive marriage before, prior, if I had a child in that situation, I'd be grabbing my child and getting out of Dodge.
Yeah. Hey, good night, Nona.
Good night, Nona.
Yeah, man, that's messed up. So let me, here, I'll show everybody. You can see the, on the video, what time was that again? It was the...
Oh, that video is awful.
Oh, 2:49. So this is at the scene. Seemed like at 2:49 you walked by or something.
Yeah, just to prove I was there. I asked not to be filmed.
Here's the proof. Hold on a second. Right there. Right? You're this person right here, right?
Well, they wouldn't let me leave either. See, I'm that person. That's me.
You're probably like, hey, there's cops all around me. There's cops all around me.
I was thinking they'd let me leave.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're famous. You just made it onto not television, but well, hey, if you're watching streaming on your big screen TV, you did make it onto their television. So,
I feel so famous.
Yeah.
No, I think that whole day was just terrible. It went on through the night. The reason why I dropped all those links is because we didn't. The every news source possible kept trying to come over here and talk to us, and we told them to just go away.
So is it back here? Like here's where the dump. Is it in one of these apartments like this?
Okay, yeah. You see where that? In between where that black car and that white. Yeah, that would be the door, the opening.
Right. The reason I say that is because on your video, this video right here, you can see the dumpster area with the wooden fence, but they got the tape back here like this. That means they're blocking the area around here. So that means they didn't want anybody. They put the tape up like over here, kind of, and they blocked this whole area.
I never noticed that before.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Well, really shitty story, but.
Very terrible ending.
But that's exactly what I'm looking for on here is people to tell their stories where they're in the scene or related to, or you know what I'm saying. Just like you just did.
It was definitely something I ended up being a part of, and that's just one of those situations.
See, so it wasn't that bad. Was it that hard, Rachel, to call in?
No, and you're actually very quite nice, Ray. You didn't. I don't know. You didn't meet my expectation of mean that I was hoping for.
Oh, you were hoping for it. Okay, let me do it. No, well, you've heard me on phone calls before. I'm not mean.
Oh no.
Here, the only time I'm ever really mean is when people. I just see something that I perceive as being ludicrous. They might think it's not.
Oh,
but
no.
That's just what I want to say.
Well, I totally get you.
Yeah. Well, good. All right.
Well, I mean, when you say somebody's ridiculous, or if you're just joking and being like you've called me drunk before. Like, Rachel, you must be drunk. That makes me laugh, and I know you're just joking. I think it's hilarious.
All right. Well, that's cool. But hey, that was a good call. Thanks for calling in and telling the story. Sorry you had to go deal with that. It sucks. It sounds like you were good for that lady too. That was it was good that you were there, consoling her.
Yeah, she was really thankful for that. I've kept in touch with her. She's doing a lot better. Yeah, you know, she'll never get over it. I'm sure. You know, losing a child is something you never get over. But she's doing better than she was.
Yeah, I mean that's the worst thing in the world is when a parent loses a child. A child can lose a parent. And it sucks, you know, but you get over it because that's sort of the natural. It's almost like we're wired that that's okay. But when you lose a child, you just learn to live with it, but you never get over it.
Exactly. And from my experience, I've never met a parent that's ever gotten over it. Yeah,
it's a nightmare. So, all right. Well, thank you for calling in, Rachel.
No problem.
Good job.
Adios, everybody.
All right. See you later. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. See, that wasn't hard at all. So if you have a story like that, you just call in and you tell it. So where's Mary Poppin? Where is Mary Poppin? I'd like you to pop in right now. And if I had my drum roll set up, I would have played it. Or actually rim shot, not drum roll. Yeah. I guess I'm kind of boring, because I've actually never even been arrested before. Yes, sleuthers, go look it up. Okay, check it out, everybody. I've never been arrested or even come close. I've gotten speeding tickets before. I think I have 3 speeding tickets in the 30... hell, I don't know. 5 years that I've been driving. 36 now, I guess. Sue me, alright? Yeah. I guess I'm just not bad boy enough. Darn it, man. I should have gotten, like 57 tattoos, been arrested 14 times. I'm not cutting down tattoos, alright? I'm just saying when you look up a bad boy image, you see a guy that has longer hair, a bunch of tattoos, been arrested a few different times, okay? I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry. And I don't have any tattoos at all. I am just absolutely, man, what do you call that? Just, yeah, see? Cairo. He has 57 tattoos and has been arrested 47 times. That's actually who I was referring to, because I have the exact numbers on the guy. Yeah, I don't even know how anybody could ever be like that. It's like, jeez. Oh, hey, we got a call here. Let's see. 812, you're on the air.
Hey, Gray, it's Amber.
It's Amber? All right.
It's Mary Poppins.
Oh, Mary Poppins. Okay. I was
Mary
like,
Poppins, sorry.
Yeah, that's the only name that I've seen you go by. All right, well, tell the story.
Okay, I'm hearing like some back. I'm hearing echoing. How do I get that?
You can't have your audio on from the video. You just have to talk to me on the phone.
Okay,
and not
is that better?
Well, it was okay on my end, but it's your end. How about you? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, do I just keep my volume down?
Well, yeah, how are you talking to me? Are you on your computer?
I'm on my phone right now, but I've got my speaker on.
Right, but turn off the speaker from the video. Like, you don't want to listen to the audio from the show at all. Like,
okay.
you're just listening to your phone like you're on a phone call. Turn off the video audio. Yeah, you can still watch it, but you have to have no audio. So is that working for you?
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay, see? There you
go. Okay. Okay, well, let me go ahead, I guess. Where do I really start from? I guess I can kind of go back a little bit prior to the incident happening to kind of tell you where that led me to calling in. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a guy that I dated for a couple years, actually, prior to, I purchased some property outside of the town that I used to live in, kind of to get away from him. I had split up with him. I had had a child with him. We dated for a little bit. Like I said, I had split up with him. I had went through my postal training to go back to work. I was a licensed insurance agent. I was trained EMT, worked as a CNA, and at the time, I was working for GM, switched over to Ford, and went through my post office training and was going to work full time. At that time, I had 3 kids. So, I mean, I'm glad I had 3 kids, but I was doing it all myself. And their dad got to where he wasn't taking very good care of our child that we had together when I was at work. He would look after her sometimes, so I had to go ahead and just take off of work at that time. When I moved into my home a little bit after, he had asked me to marry him for a few years, and I kept saying no. I didn't want to get married, wasn't ready. He continued to ask. Of course, I still had, some feelings for him because I had a kid with him, but something about him just never set well with me. I distanced myself with him because I had been in abusive relationships before, and I just didn't want to get into anything like that again. Well, he kept on, and one day he showed up on my property, and he wouldn't leave. Basically, I shut off all my lights. He sat outside for about 2 hours and refused to leave until I spoke with him. I talked to him. He convinced me, that he would be different, that things would be fine. Of course, he wanted to get married. Long story short, I did end up getting back with him. Right away, when I got back with him, I started noticing even some more changes that were a little odd to his behavior. Like, he had just showed up without his kids. He had 2 children that he had from a previous marriage that, not because he wanted full custody, he was basically left with full custody of those children. The mother had abandoned them, had went to some other state, and had left the kids with him. And he didn't have the kids with him. And I started noticing he was leaving the kids at his mother's and things like that. Well, he got to where he was slowly bringing the kids to my house. And at the time, I didn't realize all of his intentions. But of course, I looked at it if I was dating him. It's a package deal. He had kids. That's just how I looked at it. I loved his kids as that they were my own. But I also had to protect my children. Because I was a little unsure about him, and I started noticing.
Where is this though? You haven't really described where are we right now?
This is Indiana.
You don't want to say the
specifically
city?
The towns yet.
Okay.
But it is in Indiana.
All right.
It's on the other side of Lafayette and Delphi, which would be going toward where French Lick is. French Lick, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
It's over close around that area. But anyways, I had set up some monitors in my house. I'll go ahead and there was a lot of things that happened. He held me down at gunpoint in my home when I finally tried to tell him to leave. Just little things like that. I would call the police. When the police would show up, he would hide. He would leave until the police were gone. He would come back. It just went over and over again. And I set up monitors in my house. I caught a 14-year-old little boy, his child, had tried to sexually assault my little girl. I immediately, of course, spoke with the kids. I didn't contact social services or anything like that at first, but I did tell him, the kids needed some type of counseling. There's something going on. The way that they were acting wasn't normal behavior, and I wasn't sure where the kids had learned it from, and I didn't feel comfortable it being all completely on me because I wasn't their mother, although I was, trying to be the best that I could in the situation, with also protecting my kids too. Come to find out, the little girl had told me that the brother had done those things to her. And after taking my other daughter aside, I found out the boy had also done this to my other child, had held her down in the driveway, had kicked her. I was a few minutes late getting home one day when the bus got there.
How long ago was this?
This would have been 3 years prior to it to Abby and Libby.
Okay. So
I'm going to skip forward here in just a minute real quick on you, so it won't take that long to get there. But anyways, long story short on that, he refused. He didn't want him to go to counseling, anything like that. He didn't want it known. He didn't want it talked about. Basically, he wanted it swept under the rug. And I didn't feel comfortable with him or the kids in my house anymore around my children, just point blank, because The boy had said that his dad let him do things like that, and he wasn't going to stop. So I told him he needed to go. He didn't like that. He didn't want to leave. What he ended up doing was he ended up going to his house. He burned his house down. There was an insurance investigation that went on. It was under investigation for arson. I finally was able to get a confession out of him. At first, I didn't know he had done that. It wasn't until he had finally talked me into letting him stay because his house had burnt that he admitted to me that he had burned it down. He looked at it like if he burned his house down, that I was going to let him and the kids stay with me, and I would feel bad for him, which I did. And a little bit later, he started admitting to me that he was, in fact, the one that burned it down. He told me how he burned it down. I met with investigators. I spoke with investigators several times about it.
Why did he tell you that, you think?
He just did, because he wanted me and him to get married. And
why did he tell you that he did that? The arson.
Because he said he wanted to be an honest person. He knew that I had grown up. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not currently, but I was. And what I was always raised as I'm sure you know what that is, as far as being what they teach, mainly is to always tell the truth. I mean, whether it's good or bad, people don't want to hear it. That's how I was always raised. I'm very direct. I am honest. I don't manipulate. I don't try to manipulate anything.
Well, it seems like a dumb thing to tell you, though. I mean, here's the thing: is
I know.
But here's the thing. But he's not a. I think he told you to kind of put a little bit of fear in you. I think he told you that to make you think like,
right.
Wow, now that we're together, you better not leave me because I'm capable of doing something.
And you're
like
right,
that.
because that's exactly what it did to me. It made me feel like when it happened, after he finally did tell me, I held it in for a little bit before I because I had spoke with investigators, and I did tell them if he ever told me what he had done, how he had done it, I would let them know. But when he did tell me about it, it made me feel like, it started making me feel like I was in fear. Like, how am I going to get out of this situation? He's held me down in the middle of my floor with a gun in my own home. I've contacted police. He's not leaving. I've let him stay here long enough to where he could say that he lives here. How am my kids are in danger. I was literally not sleeping. I was staying awake every night, taking care of my 3 kids, his 2 children, and him, basically. He wasn't working, and I was doing it all. I was under a lot of stress. My blood pressure was high. I don't expect anybody to feel sorry for me. I made my own choices. I chose to be in the situation that I was in at that time, which was my mistake. But I did. I felt in fear. But what I did, I am strong. I've been on my own since I was very young, I've been through a lot. Like I said, I bought my own house. It's 2,500 square feet. I have 5 acres. I mean, I've worked all my life. I knew that I was strong enough to get through everything that I'd been through. I knew that I could get through that. So what I did, I contacted the kids' grandparents. He wanted to just take the kids, basically. He even tried to take them and leave them on the doorstep of somebody that he didn't even know, talked about taking them to an orphanage and leaving his children there. He wanted, because he looked at it, he thought, well, maybe it was just the kids. That was the reason I didn't want to be with him. But that was not the whole picture in itself. It was all of it together. And these are things he wanted to do. And one night after one of the conversations about what the little boy had done and my feelings on the situation, he suggested he wanted to kill the kids. And he said it just as a matter of fact, what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it. And I immediately looked at him because I thought, he was...
Like your kids or his kid? What kids is he talking about?
I was hoping... Huh?
What kids was he referring to?
His 2 children.
His 2 kids.
His 2 kids, yes.
Just so that you wouldn't... really for you, though, right? He was gonna kill them for you because...
I guess. I don't know what he wasn't saying. It was for me, but he was that's what he said he wanted to do. I said, well, how do you want to handle it? And I was thinking, well, he's going to say, you know, like, talk with the kids, or I don't know, some reasonable situation. I never dreamed that would be the response that I got back from him.
Wow.
And that was his response. So my response to that was I immediately changed the subject. Of course, I said no. And then I knew then I felt like I was all those kids had. I was just going to tough it up. I was going to, you know, separate the kids, do all that I can. I enrolled the kids in the school where my kids go to school. I was taking care of those kids the best that I could, as well as my kids. And I finally was able to get in touch with the grandparents, which was his mom and dad. They had traveled state to state all their life. They finally set up some property close, a few towns over from where I live. And I could tell that his mom kind of instigated his behavior in ways to where he could do no wrong. Anything I said, I was just another girl, you know, it wasn't. But that's not what I was worried about at the time. I could care less about that. I just wanted to make sure that if the kids went there, they were going to be safe there. And I had my ex-boyfriend at the time, who we were getting along. We still got along. I mean, we never dated or anything while I was in a relationship with him. But I was able to communicate with my other ex enough to where he would babysit my other children while I was taking care of this situation with his kids. And what I did is I contacted him. I had him watch his two kids and mine and have them separated one day while I went and contacted the police. And because as soon as I told him that I wanted him to leave, he left and left his kids at my house. So, and he, of course, didn't think I was going to bring the kids to him, or I don't know what he thought, but I was going to, but I wanted to make sure that they were safe when I did.
Do you think he actually cared about his kids at all? Like,
I at that time, I really don't think he did, because he left them on the front porch of my house.
I mean, just in general, like if you think back to how he would be in the house, did it seem like he cared about them?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Never ask them how they were doing. He never spoke with them. He went for 6 months straight without even saying so much as how was your day to those kids.
Wow.
I mean, I signed him up for absolutely. I mean, I know. It was almost like this guy had just literally given up on life and chased me to my house in the middle of the night and refused to leave. And just, I don't know. And I think it was probably something that was happening before he met me. It's just when he met me, after that, I think maybe I don't know, something snapped. I don't believe that it was me. I think it was something that was prior to it. I mean, I never instigated him to do anything like that. So I don't know. I tried to figure it out. But anyway, what I did was I contacted the police first, and I went to the house, and I wanted it documented. This is why I contacted the police. I wanted it documented in a report. And as I because I had my ex that was watching the kids, I had him rent a hotel which was right by his house, so the kids could sit in the hotel and wait with their belongings, and then he could sit in the apartment with my kids, and he went back and forth and checked on my kids and his kids for a few hours while I was taking care of the situation. I pulled up with the police, and I walked in the yard, and I held up the key to the hotel room, and I said, the kids are in the hotel. I said, you need to go get your children. I mean, because if he didn't go get them, it would have been abandonment, and I was not going to be responsible for his children, basically, who was harming my children. And so
But let me ask you something. They didn't continue to harm your kids after that. I mean, you caught.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So you were able, but they were. I don't know. You know, you don't have to say what they were doing, but something was happening. Like their kids were abusing your kids,
Yes.
prior, but you had
And-
stopped all that and made sure that they were safe at all times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then after that, and that day, I was kind of acting a little, because mind you, this had been going on for like 7 or 8 months. I was completely a belligerent mess. My blood pressure was high all the time. I was not getting any sleep. And after there was like 4 officers there, 2 of which I knew, went to school with. I was even friends with one of them. And what I did was I actually turned around, and after I handed him the key and I yelled it, I said, "You are never going to be able to abuse me, and your children are not going to sexually hurt my kids again." And I said it loudly because I wanted it documented. I knew that if I said it out loud in front of those police officers, that they would hear me. That would be a situation where it would have to be documented to the effect of what I said. And which I guess was the wrong thing to do, because the next thing I know, I get put in handcuffs. And on the way there, I'm talking to the guy I went to school with. I said, what are you doing, TJ? You knew what was going on. And he said, "Amber, you never explained to us anything that was happening. They thought I was going to turn around and go off, and I was facing the opposite direction. So it was clearly not what I was going to do."
Why'd they put you in handcuffs, though? I mean, what?
Because I started yelling. I was turned around, heading toward my car. They didn't know how I was going to react, if I was going to hurt him for letting him hurt my kids. They didn't know. They ended up dropping it. This is what happened. On the way there, my ex-boyfriend, which is a state police officer, he came, which he was not supposed to. It was a conflict of interest. He came to his house and instigated him into filing trespass charges on me and trying to further that situation, which it wasn't even his property. It was his parents' property. He had no idea why I was there. So of course, it turned into a go ahead and file charges on her, get her in trouble, all of this. Long story short, it got dropped the next day. And the trespass charge got dropped about 3 weeks later because my ex contacted me, not the state police officer, but the ex I was dealing with at the time, and he was wanting me to get back with him. And he came back by the house without the kids because he thought, like I was telling you, he thought it was just to do with the kids. And I explained to him, it's not just because of the kids. It's the whole picture in general. It's everything that you've done. You've told me you burned your house down. I don't want to be involved in none of this that you're telling me. And I have to let them know what you told me. You put me and my children in a situation to where I have to let them know now, because they are investigating you, and I am not going to go to jail for something you've done. And he told me, he said he understood. He was okay with me going to them. He would even go to them with me to tell them what he had done. And I was like, okay, if you are willing to stand up, admit what you've done wrong, be honest, go to the police station, tell them what the kids had done to my children so that the kids can get the counseling that they need and find out why they're doing that so that it would help them, and you're willing to stand up for the mistakes that you've made, you probably won't even go to jail, but you need to go ahead and do that anyways, because burning your house down is not a crime. The crime occurs, of course, when you commit the fraud, with the insurance fraud that he committed. And he looked at it like, because I signed the paperwork with him, that I was committing it with him. No, I was signing as a witness that he was committing it. But at the time, I wasn't completely sure that he was, that I just witnessed it at the time. And like I said, I was also an insurance agent at the time too. Not a PNC, but a life accident health insurance. It's all, it's still an insurance agent. So I, of course, would not, and still would not do anything like that. So I was responsible. I had a fiduciary responsibility to let them know what he had told me. And anyways, he told me he would do all this. And I said, I fell for it again in a way. And I thought, okay, it's my child's father. He's made mistakes, but he's willing to stand up. And I had a hard life growing up. And of course, I did have a father that was not great, not always there. So I did want to see the good in people. And I do believe that people can change. So I wanted to give him another chance. And after he told me that, I thought, okay. So, and I spoke with investigators about it, and they told me, well, if you can get a written confession, and I'm a notary, but of course I couldn't notarize the statement myself, so I had to go get the confession notarized once I got it from him. I did get a recorded confession. And he also said he was going to give me the written confession, and we were going to have it notarized, which he did at a later time. While this was going on, I ended up getting back with him, and I know that was stupid, but I did, because he was telling me that those kids, they didn't learn that from him. He was telling me they learned those things from his ex-wife. It must have happened there. None of it, of course, was his fault. From what he was telling me. So,
So you actually got back together with that guy later?
I actually did, yes.
That's kind of classic, It's classic. So it's pretty classic, though, like that's sort of.
Yeah, but I did. And then what happened was, within getting back with him, I didn't want to be living with someone and not being married, although I did not want to marry him. He had been trying to get me to marry him, asked me in Olive Garden in front of a bunch of the people. He'd asked me several different times for a little over 4 years. But I also didn't want to live with anybody and not be married, and I definitely didn't want to go through the same situation I had went through with him already. So I said, okay. And he also told me, if we got married, he would definitely go. He would fill out the notarized statement. He would confess to everything he had done. As long as I stood by him, it would be taken care of. And okay. So that's what I did. I contacted the investigators. I told them that I was going to give him another chance, that I felt very strongly that I could get a confession, that he would more than likely go and confess himself. And if not, I could get a written confession. But isn't it? Don't
you think it's kind of weird? Like you're helping investigators prove a case against a guy that you're giving another chance to and are going to marry.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. I know I was a little.
It is a little bit crazy.
I was a little not where I needed to be in my state of mind at the time either. I don't think really.
Okay.
But I was under the care of a doctor, not for psychotic or anything like that, just because I was under a lot of stress. And my blood pressure was high, and I had went through a surgery and other things. So I admit that, I was not making clear decisions at that time. But yes, that's what I did. I got the written confession. I got it notarized.
What is he confessing to, though? Like specifically?
In the statement, he confessed to allowing those children to sexually assault my children.
Allowing them, like he literally knew that they were.
Like he allowed them. Yeah, that's what he. Wow. That's what he signed to. Yes. As well as the physical abuse, the holding me down at gunpoint. There are various different things.
So you got him to confess to. Did he know that you were going to be giving that to the investigators?
Oh yeah, he knew 100%. And
Jesus.
So that's what I did. I got that. And then after we got married, I got pregnant in November with my little boy. And it wasn't probably 3 weeks after I got pregnant, I got very sick. And I didn't want him touching me. Not personally because of him, I was just sick all the time. I didn't feel good, not just because of the pregnancy. It was just I had some stuff going on. I had some tests ran, They thought it might have been cancer. They wasn't sure. Just had a lot of stuff going on. I didn't want him to touch me. I didn't want to be intimate, and he didn't like that. For a couple weeks, it turned into me telling him no, and I had went through a very traumatic experience about a year prior to meeting him, where I was held down at gunpoint for 16 hours, and I was raped. I was told what I.
Well, why don't you call? Why don't you call in with that one on a different show?
I will. I will.
But on this one, it seems. But what's weird is that it seems like that you know this guy is a horrible person. You even want him documented with investigators, but you were going to give him a chance.
Yeah, I know.
But at least you know that it's kind of, it's weird.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Like you would say, ludicrous.
Ludicrous.
It definitely was.
Okay.
But it was crazy, that's for sure. But anyways, I got back with him, and
you have a kid together, right? That's what your son.
I had a kid with him. Yes, I was pregnant, and I woke up to him. I had taken some medication the doctor had given me, and for a couple of weeks I had told him no. Sure, you could. I figure what happened next. I woke up and he was doing it anyway. I fought him off of me, and I jumped up. I immediately, my oldest daughter at the time, which she would have been about 15 at the time, I hollered at her. She heard me screaming, actually, and she come running up the stairs. She got him off of me. I told her to call the police. He ran down the stairs, and he ran and hid outside. I called the police. The police came. Of course, he stayed hid. They searched for him in my field. Of course, he didn't come back until after the police were gone. At that time, right after that had happened, I continued to call the police every time he would come back, and he finally left. Well, I went through my pregnancy myself. I filed for divorce, but I did it on my own. I wrote up all the paperwork. I went to the attorney's office. I went and picked him up. I went and picked him up and went and had it notarized and everything. I never thought anything else about it after that. I knew we were going to have to go through some other issues, visitation,
red heart,
all
thumbs
that
up,
stuff.
Hold on a
skin
second.
tone, smiling face with heart eyes.
Hey, thanks, Claudia Neubauer. Claudia Neubauer. All right, so it kind of went over. So say that last part you just said again.
Okay. I went to the attorney's office. I had it notarized. I drew up the divorce papers, everything, and I looked at it like, well, it's done. I knew we were going to have to go through some other issues with custody and visitation, all that.
What year is this?
But I definitely wanted.
When's this?
Definitely wanted them to be. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just what year is it that you're talking about now?
That was happening. Sorry, that was in 2014.
Okay.
I had my son in 2015.
Okay.
After I got home from my son was in the hospital. He was injured at birth. We were in the hospital, and I was for 3.5, almost 4 months. When we got home, about a couple months after we got home, I was served with paperwork. I guess I didn't know. I thought, well, I guess he's wanting to make it look like through the system that he's filing. I thought, oh God, okay, he wants to argue now. There really wasn't nothing to argue over. All the property I had before we were married, so there wasn't nothing to argue over. I planned on letting him see the kids. I'm not the type of person that would do that, as long as he didn't have them around the boy that had hurt my child, well, both of my daughters, and as long as he was good to them when he had them. Well, I did file a restraining order on the boy that had assaulted my daughter because he said he was going to do it again. And the restraining order, actually, I'm going to skip to the day of when that happened to the girls, because I had left. It was the first time I had dated since I had filed for divorce. I went out with a guy on, well, it would have been Valentine's Day weekend, I guess that Friday and Saturday. We had court on Friday.
What year?
It was
What
canceled.
year?
2017.
Okay.
It was canceled. Our court was canceled that day on Friday, and the restraining order that I filed was granted and served to him on February 13th. He was actually supposed to be driving through there, which he would normally have been, because he drives a truck and goes through there every week. Well, at the time, I had no idea about anything that was going on in Delphi or anything like that. I just came home on February 14th, the morning of, and after being gone for the weekend in Kentucky, and I came in and walked in the door, and I looked on the television screen, and I looked like him on the screen. And I was like, what in the world's going on? And I had let my other child's father watch the kids for the weekend, and I asked him, I said, what's going on, and he thought it was him too. And he said he didn't know. Well, I started reading, watching the media, and I immediately called, and I said, I know who that is. And I told him, I recognized him immediately, because we bought that jacket that he had on. We bought, and those shoes, the brown shoes that he had on, I had bought for him. And that's why I thought it was him. But I actually just thought he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And maybe, I didn't know the situation. And at that time, they hadn't really named him the guy either. So
does he have a hoodie and stuff like that too?
Yeah. He hit everything that the type of, he walks with his hands in his pockets. It completely looked just like him. And he has his leg, there's a specific curvature that I noticed, because he had a sciatic nerve problem with his leg that he had some problems with, and he had a certain way that he walked on that one side, and I noticed that immediately.
Well, but you couldn't see him walking in the original stills that came out. You couldn't see the way he walked. No. And the thing is, he's also on a bridge, and he has to step over. They even say, don't look at the way. It's more like, do you recognize this person? So
yes, but to me, when I looked at it, I noticed even though he wasn't walking, it was a still shot. I could see the way his legs bowed and everything, because it looked just like my head.
See, I don't really see bowed. When I look at his legs, I don't see bowed legs when I look at him.
Not bowed. It's kind of bowed.
That's what I mean. But but they look just normal, like straight to me. I don't see like a like a curve.
But there's one leg that kind of goes around. I don't know how to explain it. It's better. It would be better if I had a better picture.
Hey, well, somebody's asking, hey, does she have a picture? Yes, she has a picture, but I'm not showing him on the air. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't do that shit. Okay, I'm not one of those type.
And
just
I
listen to what
agree
she's
with
saying.
you. The reason I posted those pictures is because right after I contacted the investigators, I thought, and I've seen all these groups I was getting into, and I wasn't really getting into it for theory and drama or nothing like that. I just thought, well, if I post it, I'm not going to post his name. I just want to see if some of these people think that there are similarities, because I knew there were similarities.
Yeah,
and
but
I just wanted to get other people's opinions.
Like I've seen them, and you do side by sides with the original sketch. I've seen that, but here's the thing: is you can't do side by sides with sketches, because they're just a vague reference to they're mildly accurate. So if you're gonna put eyes next to an eye and a lip, it's just not really accurate to do it that way.
Well, and that's what always got me, because unless they were basing it off of DNA with the eyes, because I know they said, as a matter of fact, the eyes were not blue. But the only way for someone to know that is if they were face to face with a guy.
Right. I think they walk by. I think what it means is the eyes are hazel color. And the reason I think that is because they said, I just know they weren't blue. Okay? That means that they had that hazel look. Because if they're brown, you're going to say they're brown. If they're black, you're going to say they're black. if they're hazel, you're going to say, the first thing you're going to think of is, well, I just know they weren't blue, but they were kind of, right? So then I think they're hazel color.
But to the media, I think it presented it as a matter of fact. And the possibility of them being blue, I think, but his eyes are blue.
They are blue? They are blue, his eyes?
His eyes are blue.
Like blue, or can they be hazel color? Like if somebody saw him, would they go, wow, he's got blue eyes?
They could be looked at as hazel, yeah. I could see that. But I thought, well, maybe they're saying it's not blue because they've run some DNA and they know for some reason that they're not. So that gave me a little bit of hope into thinking that it wasn't him.
It could be, like if they'd done Parabon, but we don't know if they've done Parabon. But the thing is they made it sound like the witness said, they just knew, and it was a female witness, said they just knew that the eyes weren't blue.
Well, and what got me a little bit is because when I sent the pictures in to them, it was before the sketch had came out. And what got me convinced was I was contacted initially through Facebook, not one of the groups. I was just contacted on Facebook by a lady. She said she was an insurance investigator. She said she had been investigating him for a while, which I knew there were a few that had been. I just never spoke to her before. I checked out her credentials. She was legit. She said that they had been investigating him. She couldn't go into all the detail, but because I had been married to him, she could speak with me a little bit about some of the circumstances, enough to make sure to let me know that I needed to keep me and my kids safe, which of course I knew that anyways. But she said that they did know for sure that he was in Delphi that day, and the reason that they knew that was because his vehicle, his semi-truck was there, and that they knew he had taken his GPS out during the time of the murders and had put it in immediately after. And when she told me that, that's what I was convinced. I was like, well,
so this is like, wait, this is an insurance related to his vehicle, and they got a hold of
related to the arson investigation.
Okay, but how do they know about the? How do you know about the GPS being taken out and put back in?
It was a woman investigator that called me. She said they had been investigating him for the arson.
Yeah.
And throughout that investigation, while this was going on, that's what she had found out. I don't know. I don't know how they...
So they said that on like the 13th, he took the GPS out of his vehicle and then put it back in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and I've still got the message.
But why did she tell you that? Why did she tell you that, the investigator?
She told me because she said that she wanted me to make sure that I keep, be careful who I spoke with in those groups and things like that. She said there was some women in those groups that didn't have good intentions for me and other people in there, that I needed to be careful, basically.
Okay, but let me just, but I want to, okay, so this lady who's an investigator who happened to be in the group that was investigating your ex-husband's arson case
I don't think she was in the group. I think she got into the group.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, so she kept following it for years, but she kept following it and following it and following it. And then she even has the updated information, because the arson was from years ago. So she keeps track of him. Why does she care now that he's taking it? No, but why does she keep caring about the GPS?
At that time, it would have been, I think, 4 years.
Right, but why is she looking at, in 2017, his GPS
I don't know.
Information?
That's why I don't know. And I had actually, and something else too, a few months prior to it happening, I had hired an investigator myself, a private investigator who was a retired police officer. I hired him because I was having situations where he was coming up behind my house, and I knew it was him, and he was hiding in the woods behind my house, and I was getting a little bit scared, and I let him know that I was worried he might do something to harm me or, somebody else. And that was the conversation we had. He wanted me to prepare, have a gun, all that stuff. The investigator was telling me to make sure, I was safe. And at the time of that happening, he was in the middle of investigating him also. So I just wanted to I forgot all about that till.
Yeah, okay, but you called in, let's see. So you're in this group, and you've already turned him in. How long after the incident when the girls were killed did you contact investigators? Just like 2 days later when you saw the picture on the screen?
No, I contacted him immediately when I seen the picture.
So like the 15th, I think the picture came out on the 15th, something like that.
Yeah, whatever day it was on the media is when I called.
And then you were in a group and you were sharing your pictures and talking about it. And this lady somehow was in there. Maybe she's an investigator, and then she, for some reason, happened to be looking at, the GPS taken out of your husband's car. See, that just seems weird that she'd be looking at that.
Yeah, I thought so too. But that's what she said.
Okay, so then and then have you ever talked to investigators?
I did. I have. I've talked to Jerry Holman several times.
Okay.
I spoke to other investigators, other police officers in Delphi. I spoke to Jerry Holman the last time I spoke with him was when I sent in. I finally was able to find, because I was contacted and asked if I could get. I was contacted by an officer who had asked me if there was any way they thought, or I thought maybe that I could get his DNA, or I could get him to get his DNA. I guess they had contacted him. From my understanding, he was refusing to give his DNA. And they were asking me if there was any way that I would be able to provide that. And I told them I didn't think at the time I could, but I would try. What I did was, after I thought about it, I thought, wait a minute, we have a kid together. I wonder if I could contact them, and since my DNA or my daughter's DNA would match up with his, but it was her test for her paternity, if I could sign for the release of that they could release his portion with that. And they thought maybe they could go that route, so that's what I did. I called them, and I called the lab. It ended up being a dead end because the company that purchased all the DNA tests from the name, I forgot the name of the company, but it was the lab, all the DNA tests that they had, they purchased when they purchased the company, and it transferred over, and they disposed of all the excess old DNA tests. So basically it was a dead end, and he would actually have to give his consent before anything could be done, which I think they were trying at the time to get is it familiar? I always pronounce that wrong.
Familial. Hey, did he actually, like these investigators, are they calling you or are you calling them? Like Holman?
Yeah, they were calling me too. It wasn't just me calling them. Okay,
but like Holman's calling you up on the phone saying, hey, giving you information or asking for stuff?
Well, yeah, there was one time, they called me too. There was, one time they called me, they asked me, which I thought was, asked about his hunting, if he liked hunting, and different things about when he would go hunting. And I didn't know really much to tell him about that. I'd never known him to go hunting other than to basically wander out in the field by himself. I'd never known him to go hunting for animals or things like that.
All right, so I think I've got a gist of the story. So you were with the guy that was he was abusive himself, but he had two kids that were abusive to your kids, and then
I did ask him if he did it.
Let me. Yeah. Then he admits to that he has that he allowed his kids to abuse your kids only so that you would marry him, and you end up getting married. Then you had a child, and so this is on record. The investigators have this information already. Then Just on February 13th, 2017, you filed for divorce or something, right? And then on the...
No, I filed for divorce prior.
Okay, well, what happened on the 14th?
Restraining order went through that day.
Okay, the restraining order went through, so that could be a stressor to somebody. And then he goes out, and then you're saying that somebody told you...
We had court that Friday before the girl... On Monday was the day the girls were murdered. That Friday we had court that was canceled.
All right, but anyways, some big things were happening against him. So he, your theory is that that was sort of like a stressor, and then he went out and he turned the GPS off, took the GPS out of his vehicle so that he couldn't be proven to be right there. According to some anonymous lady on Facebook who contacted you with this information. Have you verified that at all with law enforcement?
I did. I verified that she was an investigator. I gave Jerry her information.
But was it verified as true? Is it been verified as true that he turned off his GPS? Other than her telling you that, has anybody else said, "Oh yeah, that's real"?
Nobody has denied that, and nobody denied her being an investigator either. When I called and let them know, I let them know she contacted me and told me these things. They never said that wasn't true.
Okay, well, Shogun just asked, how old is this guy?
He is 40. Well, he would be.
That's
now
reasonable.
48.
That's pretty reasonable.
A little older than.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I mean, it's definitely interesting. So when you asked him, what did he say?
Well, the first time I asked him was in a message. It was about 6 months after it had happened. I had not spoke with him in a couple years, other than going and filing the divorce papers and stuff. Never one time over the phone or anything, but I did message him one night because I thought, well, maybe he'll tell me,
So before 2017, how long had you not seen him before that February 13th? Like a year or so?
A couple years.
Okay. So anyway, you sent him a message, and then what did he say?
The message said, I was just trying to get the conversation going up about it, and I said, how long did it take you to get to the bridge that night? And his response was an eternity. And I said, well, how long is an eternity? He said, forever. I said, how long is forever? And this went on for like 20 minutes, and he never would go in any other detail than that. And I fought to keep my kids away from him because I was convinced that he did have something to do with it because he was refusing to give his DNA. I didn't understand why he wouldn't give his DNA if he didn't have anything to do with it. We finally went to court. He was asking for a visit with the kids. They finally scheduled a visit, but the judge or my attorneys, they knew what was going on with the situation, with me questioning that he may have some involvement in that. So, because I let them know that, well, the judge ordered that the first visit be videoed on surveillance at the police station. So he was ordered to pull up at the police station so that it would be on surveillance, and that's what he did. And I contacted Jerry prior to it happening, and then I contacted him after the judge had made the order to let them know that the tape was there, and that if they wanted it, since I was on the video too, that I could sign the release for them to go get it or to request it from the police station. So that it would show him on video, and they can compare the video that they have with that video. And that was the last time I spoke with them.
I mean, maybe I don't even know, but why didn't you just directly ask him instead of saying, "How long did it take you to get to the bridge?"
Oh, I did. I did directly ask him.
Well, okay.
Whenever 2 days before we met for the initial first visit with the kids, for him to see the kids, I asked him, I said, you know, are you going to hurt my kids? You know, he said, no. And I said, well, I said, did you do it? Did you hurt them girls? And he just looked at me. He wouldn't answer me. So
I mean, it's interesting for sure. It seems like law enforcement kind of went in a different direction.
Yeah, and it doesn't say. Sorry, he doesn't say for sure that he did it. It doesn't. Of course, I hope that he wasn't involved. I don't want.
Right, but here's the thing: is it seems like law enforcement went in a different direction because you know, first of all, I've seen the images you've put together where you compare the original, which was actually the second sketch, but they call it the original one, the one with the golf cap on and everything. But now they don't have that anymore. They have like the Tom Cruise lookalike, who's like 18 to 20. I mean, he doesn't look like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I know. That's
but,
what just threw me. It just threw me on that, and I.
Does he sound like it?
There's so many things.
How about his voice? Does his voice sound like it?
Actually, his voice does sound like him, and I do have a. I know you're good at all that stuff. I do have a recording of his voice somewhere if you would like some time to.
Yeah, you could send me something so I can just listen to it. But, you know, I mean, it's interesting for sure because it's just the timing. You know, I don't. Well, the problem is I need to see stuff myself, like that. The whole thing about it, the GPS. If somebody in law enforcement told me that he turned his GPS off on the 13th and then put it back in on the 14th. And then, given the stuff that you said, I would be way more interested. But I can't see any of that stuff, and I don't.
know.
You know, you're just basing it on somebody showing up on Facebook and telling you that, and then apparently they are an investigator, but who? You know, I don't know. It just, I'd like to know if that's true or not. That's pretty cool information.
Sure, and I'll show you those messages, and I mean, if the lady turns out to be some. I don't know. Maybe she was just somebody in there wanting to. Right. I don't know. Maybe
she could have been
pictures and
pretending who she was. But you said that Holman and them verified that she was an investigator.
They didn't really verify, but they didn't deny.
Oh, okay.
They didn't deny, but I don't think she was working with them directly. I think, from my understanding, she was working the arson investigation, and throughout the arson investigation is what led her to finding out this information. Okay,
but you're not actually, you know, now that you bring up arson, you know, people are going to say, oh, the Flora fire, too, right?
Oh, I know, and that's what they did say. They did try that and say that, but...
Yeah, forget it.
I mean...
Yeah, well, it's definitely interesting, though.
Yeah, it just... And I wanted to clear that up. It wasn't a situation where I was being... I don't know, vindictive and trying to, because to be honest, I was trying to forget about that whole relationship and trying to.
Well, it's one that you never should have got into, but you know, it sounds like you ended up with a cool child out of it. My kids are fine. They're well taken care of. He hasn't hurt my children, but I did think it was odd that the first few visits that he had. It may just be coincidental, or maybe he was just being, I don't know. He brought them to bridges, like were trails and bridges, and it just made me uncomfortable because at the time my little boy was only 3, and of course I was scared to death the whole time they were gone. But I don't know. I just went through so much stuff with him. There was one night he was here at the house, and the police had came here, and there was at least 50 people. They had a search party outside my house searching for him because it was one of the nights that he had hurt me. I had called the police. They were looking for him, and come to find out, he had been sitting across the field and watching them search, and the police officers the whole time. And this went on for a few hours. Yeah. So, and when the police officer came back, I had pulled him aside and asked him, can you please explain to him, you know, you guys were getting ready to get the helicopters out. I mean, this stuff is not cheap. I mean, it's expensive to have to, I mean, and it kind of So where's this guy now? I don't want to keep getting more of the weed stuff.
I know.
I think we got pretty much the whole story in there.
He does travel through that way once a week.
Mm-hmm.
He is in Indiana, but he does travel through there once a week. And at the time, I didn't think he would be going that way. Once I started researching, I thought, well, it couldn't have been because, he was going toward Indy, and that I wasn't thinking about the road construction because at that time there had been some kind of road construction to where he would have had to bypass, and to bypass his.
Thanks, Claudia.
There.
Thanks, Claudia. Yeah, it sounds like he traveled through there.
Yeah.
On sometimes, and then you're saying there's a GPS thing.
Gray Hughes Investigates is the best investigator on YouTube. Red heart beaming face with smiling eyes, smiling face with heart eyes.
Thanks, Claudia Neubauer. All right, thanks, but
you do a good job, Gray. You do a good job. I know we butted heads at first. I apologize for that. I was in the middle of going. When we were going through, you were researching, you were working hard on everything, and I was in the middle of going through the things I was going through whenever we first spoke, and we got into it, I think, over measurements on the bridge, and I knew nothing about it. Clearly, I was not even, you knew what you were talking about, and I was being a total bitch, and I apologize. But I was just under a lot of pressure at that time.
I think there was a lot of weird stuff. That whole beginning of that, like I would say, the first 10 days of the social media aspect of the Delphi case was a nightmare.
I was being an asshole, though, so I do apologize.
Well, I can be one too. All right, I'm sure people know that out there.
I've seen that.
But hey, I appreciate that.
You're all right, though. I mean, we're all humans. We can do that. We have the right to do that.
Yeah.
And of course, we have reasons that we do that in our life. I've seen some people be pretty shitty to you, and you handle it pretty good on there. Yeah. But I was going through that too a little bit at that time. I was in some of those crazy groups that
it's insane.
I got out of, but
it was amazing. Yeah. There was one group that had like 50,000 people in it or something. Somebody named Carolyn or somebody ran it. I can't remember, but it was just
there was a bunch.
That group I was absolutely attacked like every day. It was just a nightmare. But
that's crazy.
But that's where that's when I developed the flow of the crime, and people still wouldn't want to believe it. You could sit there and argue with them 1,000 over and over again. They thought I had the wrong side of the bridge. And then
amazing. You would post a video or something, and then the next thing I would know, there would be a clip from your video in one of these chats, and then one of the administrators would be trying to bash a specific area of your video, and it was like, what is this case turning into being about? It was
They would try to bash. They would bash the part that didn't fit the narrative that they wanted, the story they wanted to tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it was. But you were correct. I mean, you were clearly doing your research. You weren't just throwing out stuff, trying to instigate just to get to people to talk. It was more, and I think some of them were a little bit jealous, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, but and there was other things. I was contacted by other people throughout the investigation that I was told specific things, the way that it actually happened. Stuff like that just a lot of weird things happened throughout that whole. I remember being on the phone with Anthony one time. We were discussing he was wanting to go speak with a news station and get some things going and start up a certain type of fundraiser with that. And I had been talking to Becky for him about that because I was hoping and trusting that he wasn't going to be just using it for his advantage. Well, in the middle of our conversation, he was getting a call, and he had kept getting this call from this guy, and it kept showing it was coming from Kentucky. Well, Anthony knew, I was kind of close to over by Kentucky, so he thought maybe it had something to do with me, and I thought, I don't know that number, he said, I said, well, go ahead and take your call, you go ahead and get off the phone, we'll just talk another time. Well, he said no. He said, well, you just, if you don't care, go ahead and stay on the phone. And he said, you just listen in or whatever. I said, sure, I'll just sit here and I won't say nothing. Well, he answers the call. This guy gets on there and he starts talking to him, telling him that he'd been trying to contact the FBI, trying to get through to these calls. He'd sent the information over several times, that he had a perfect image. He knew who the guy was. The guy sounded legit. He didn't know I was listening in on the call at all. And he was wanting to send the information over to Anthony. And after the guy hangs up the phone, Anthony kind of spoke about it a little bit, and that was it. Well, after that, that's why there was a video done on that where he was confronted, and I think Mike Cunningham, he wanted to turn it into something, well, why didn't you?
Yeah. I don't really. Here's the thing: is I don't really want to talk about either any of those people. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, like I don't really.
We don't have to.
I don't.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know why somebody calls him up.
I understand completely. We can.
Yeah, I get
take
a lot
that out. Whatever you need to do.
Well, I can't really take it out. It's
whatever you need to do.
No,
It was just a weird thing whenever I heard this guy saying this, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that call other. I mean, I've gotten contacted about 50 times by different people. So we all get the same things. There's no difference.
But basically, my point was on that was I know that call did happen because I was listening in the day the call came in.
Yeah, I've never even seen the video. Don't want to see it.
Yeah,
because after he screwed me over on the whole horse thing, like that was the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen in my life. I never even talked to him about it. Like I have the screenshots where he contacted me and said he saw my video, and then he goes, "Hey, great, I want to make something for you." Like he would ever contact me. I want to make something for you. And then he goes and he makes an exact duplicate of my video, basically, just saying like he's critiquing mine, but he pretends like he thought of it. And it's incredible. Yeah. He even said in the comments with the messages with me that he goes, no, I got it from you. I have the screenshots of it. It's hilarious. But he went on. I have totally lost respect for that guy. After he said that on the air, lying to all his viewers, I lost respect for him. Okay, I used to always give him the benefit of the doubt. I used to kind of be like, yeah, he's kind of just a little weirdo, kind of. But after that, forget it. Because he lied to all of his viewers just so he could pretend that he's got some, that he was doing some really cool inside stuff, and it just wasn't. It didn't happen.
And when someone lies to you, though, it's hard to.
Especially like that.
Something like this.
Yeah, he's done that 3 or 4 times actually, but this is one where it was a little bit bigger. But he'll do that. He's done that same thing just on information. Okay.
Right.
But this is one where I actually made a video, and he was like, "Oh crap! Wow, I need to get in on this, right?" And then all of a sudden we're working together. We were collaborating.
And you helped them too, I think, didn't you? As far as helping him get his stuff set up the way you do it and all that.
I told him how to get OBS, and now he just every single thing is on there. It's the same. It's just it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Not cool. He could have at least apologized for that.
Yeah, he'll never do it because doing that would mean that he'd be admitting that he was slimy, that he was slimy, but he won't do that. So, it is what it is. I know for sure what kind of person he is based on how he does that. So I don't need any confirmation or anything like that. I can just see it.
You already know on your own.
Yeah. So, anyways, hey, listen. Thanks for calling in and telling your
no problem.
Your story.
I wanted to set the record straight on my side of the story, so that I didn't want everyone thinking that I was just some crazy ex-girlfriend being vindictive on my ex. I don't have hate for even though all that happened, I still don't hate him. I honestly would never give him another chance.
There are some like that though. But that was an it was an interesting story. I said there are some people that do that, but anyways, that was an interesting story. I guess if it turns out someday that it's him, we'll be able to say, "Wow, Mary Poppins was on top of it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Anyways.
All right. Well, it was nice talking to you, and that wasn't bad at all. So you have a great night, and I'm gonna get back on the screen and let someone else call in.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. All right. Bye.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye. Mary Poppins. Yeah. So I don't have. I'm shutting down. I'm not gonna have any more calls for tonight. But in an interview with Robert Ives recently, he did say something really nice about me. I just feel weird playing it, because it's sort of, it's self-serving. But I've played it for a couple people. They've got to hear it. But it was pretty cool, and I wasn't even the one interviewing. He just sort of brought it up. And Robert Ives was the prosecutor for basically most of that first year of the case. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I feel weird playing it. He said I definitely can play it, but I don't know. You still out there, Cairo? Yeah. Should I play it or not? Because it's sort of it's very it's vindication. Yeah. What do you think, Cairo? Well, it's not really a morph thing. It doesn't have anything to do with morph. It's not. It wouldn't even be on that. It would never make it to that. This is just something I could play. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play it. All right, here we go.
No, I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm in favor of publicity for it any time. As I told Gray, I have a lot of respect for Gray. He got involved creating videos way at the beginning, and I was very impressed with the work he did. Had we ever gotten to a point of having a triable case, I might well have hired him to produce some graphics for me, because he did really wonderful work, and he and I have communicated on and off over the last couple of years, and I do trust him. So what can I do for you, Mike?
All right, so there you go. See, that's what he said, right? That's like a real thing, right? And so it makes me proud that, like, that was early on when I made the flow video. I told you guys that he contacted me, and that is proof that actually happened. All right. So whether or not you can all go out there and talk about it, this and that and the other thing, but all I know is that what he said on that right there was that had they had a prosecutable case, they might have hired me to make the graphics, because he liked how I did it. I actually showed by evidence, and then we communicated he was going to help me get more accurate information, and it just never panned out because they started holding back information. Okay, so that's like a real thing right there. All right. I mean, it felt good to actually hear that, but I've had that for a few weeks. I just wasn't sure. I don't know. I just felt kind of weird about it, but at the same time, it's like, it's something that he said, and I appreciate it. I really appreciate him too. He's always been, he's talked to me, and that's part of a much longer interview that'll you guys will hear at some point. Not on my channel, though. Well, maybe you'll hear it on my channel, but it'll be it would be separate from where that will be aired. Yeah. So that was just recently. That wasn't something said a long time ago. Yeah, it does. It feels good. It feels good to me that somebody in that high of a position there, the actual trying of the case part. See, what I've always said to everybody is I don't think most of us, or really any of us, have in this case, have a great chance of figuring out who the killer is. Okay? And that's just the reality of it. So, but I can do what the best I can do is try to put the pieces of the puzzle together to show how it all, maybe, how it went down. That's it. Okay? And then I can put out the information that law enforcement's given so that somebody else can identify them because they're the ones that know who this person is.
You get mentioned in other PPLS conversations while some PPL have to call the police and trick M into an interview.
Yeah. It is kind of strange. I don't know how that's happening, but let's see. Yeah. I can't wait till they catch him either. It'll be amazing. But the reality is I really don't think that I'm not going to go look around on Facebook pages and try to figure out, oh, look at that guy, he looks like somebody. Okay, that's just a waste of time. What works is to get the video and audio in front of it needs to be seen by the person who knows who that is. And apparently it's either happened and they haven't come forward, or the person who knows who that is hasn't seen him yet. Or somebody has seen him and has reported it, but it just didn't pan out at the time. And that's the worst scenario. The worst case scenario is this, that somebody has already reported the bridge guy. They looked into him, couldn't find anything, and put him on a trash heap of, cleared people. If he's in that trash heap, man, that'll be tough. They should go back through all of the leads that they got originally. You know what I would do if I was them? I would go through all the leads they got in the first 3 weeks and go through those all over again and investigate and see what some of these people have been up to since then. Yeah. What do you think of that? I think even the ones that they thought they had cleared, I would look at, unless it's kind of obvious, Granny Jones over there. But go back through it again, the first month, every tip that came in, because those are the ones that are fresh. Like, oh my God, I know that person, right? Right. Anyways, everybody, I'm gonna go do something else, but I'm gonna get off here. But I appreciate you guys all showing up and supporting the channel. Really appreciate it, and everybody who called in. It was good stuff. I wonder if I can even remember everybody. It was Rachel, Mary Poppin, let's see, and then Kim Berger and Jessica. There you go. I think I got them all. Boom. Yeah, thanks. Let's see. So thank you to Kit Kat, Pool of Zenda, Robin Frost, Mimi, and Karen K, Claudia Neubauer again, Cairo, and then I think there was And then Cairo on PayPal. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. All right. Yep, you missed the whole show, Sarita. You gotta tune in a little bit earlier. Next time. All right, so where are we doing the flyby? That's so quiet. You know what I might do is, like, after the show, break it down into all the different callers that called in and make their own videos on it, and then get rid of this one. Because the thing is that the conversation wasn't really in the chat, didn't really help out that much. It was all, you know, talking about other stuff. So it'd be cool to have each of the callers have their own video, right? Maybe I could put pictures up on the screen, something like that. Ooh. I don't know what that means. Skype. I don't get it. Yeah, so maybe I'll put this one, I don't know. Not sure. Maybe I'll put it on hold. Unlisted or private, and then make the videos, each of the callers. Although, Mary Poppins will be a long one, wouldn't it? Yeah, I want to fly over something that looks good on Google Earth. Let's see what Bali looks like. Does it look good on Google Earth? Yeah, I don't know. I guess we could. I don't know, see, but they have clouds on the right there. I don't like that shit. Now let's do a little bit over here. See what happens. Wow, inside of a volcano. They're nuts, these people are. That build homes right there, you're crazy. That's like a lava dome inside of a larger crater. And they put a freaking... I gotta get Blue out of there. Dum dum! That's dumb! Oh man! Ew. How'd you like to live on one of these right here, huh? Just absolutely middle of nowhere, nothing around whatsoever. An atoll. I don't have the ocean in there, so you see the ocean surface. It's not there, so you can actually see under the water that all these are mountains. These were all volcanoes at one time. This is the ridge, just like we just saw in Bali a minute ago. Later there could be another mound in the middle as lava comes up and builds that up too. Like this one right here. That's just like Bali right there. God, what a cool place that would be to live right there, huh? I mean, I haven't even heard of half of these places, right? Like, way more than half. Isn't that crazy? I mean, how did they even find that island in the first place, you know? But now it's a place where there's a 2,000 miles from any land mass. With, anyways, I think that stuff's interesting. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight and telling your stories. And, you know, thanks for contributing to the channel. I appreciate it. And a lot of people buying the mugs and shirts. So make sure you get your We Are Freaks shirt, like that one right there. You see that? We Are Freaks shirts. And mugs. Oh, I got We Are Freaks hoodie on right now. Yes, and it's a hoodie. Look at, I'm the bridge guy. Look at everybody. Look at. Oh, great. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.